Hey friends, welcome back to another edition of Conservation Stories. I'm really excited today. We have a guest that has come down from Plainview, Layton Schur, and I have asked him to join us because I have been following he and his family for quite a while on the social medias.
Yeah.
They own the Frontier Market down on kind of on the square
Yeah, absolutely.
in Plainview, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk all about how you got into that
Sure.
business and alternative markets and all kinds of stuff. So let's go.
So Dad, he got involved in no-till pretty early on. He was really big into the milo cotton kind of rotation.
Yes.
For
Yep.
a while. Then he was in seed crops, and so he really was an early innovator of that,
Wow.
which was pretty
Yes, that's
intriguing.
amazing.
I don't know if we're still in it quite as hard today. It's just years and years of no-till and cows. You really get some compaction layers. You have to use some tillage. Just to keep our, I don't know if our soil's active, but it's not like a heavy plow. It's just like have a strip till or something,
Right,
minimal
right.
till.
Yep.
And so anyway, so Granddad, it's probably got a really intriguing story. He grew up and he came from Vernon, came into the Happy Union, established there.
Okay.
And he learned early on that he was running out of water already. And so he hopped from there and bought the place that actually we're still on today.
Hale County.
It's in Hale County, right east of town, by the
Okay.
by the elevators or the prison.
Yes.
That's how some people know him.
Yeah.
And anyway, he was big into peppers and castor beans, and he was all kind of weird
Castor
market.
beans,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was a very intriguing guy. He was kind of into everything. Anyway, so Dad, he was big into getting some early into the sprinklers. He's probably one of the first couple people that have some sprinklers in Hale County.
Okay.
And so he's got a super intriguing
He's
story.
pioneering.
He is. He was a pioneer. And
That's so exciting.
and so anyway, so back I came back from Tech. I guess I graduated in 17.
Okay.
And I farmed. I still farm in the same acreage for about 7 years now. About 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I really got to toying with the fact that this farm is just not generating any cash. You farm for a living, you take out these huge operating notes, pay
Yes.
interest, and a couple of guys make money, and you're the one that does it.
I know.
And so
I
it
understand
really
that
got
story.
my brain kind of churning. I was like, man, I got to start thinking on how we can just generate some cash. I thought, well, I was really, really interested in hydroponics.
Okay. Yes.
And the reason it was that is like you're not really God, but you sure control a lot.
Yes.
You
Right.
control water.
A lot more than you do if you stick them out in the ground,
Yeah,
right?
no
Yeah.
doubt. And
Yeah.
I was like, man, this would be great for West Texas. You have optimal sunlight. We got great water. You could control the water.
Right.
I mean, there's so many things you click off. So me and Dad took off to Denver, Colorado, and we looked at I wish I could remember Altuve Farms, I think is the name of that farm. She's a super great person to deal with. Anyway, we went and toured this during COVID, and they had a top greenhouse that was covered in greenhouse on a parking garage.
Oh.
And they had 8,000. Let me make it line. There's quite a few of those upright tires, vertical ag, growing lettuce, arugula, and some of the specialty crops. And she was kind of sound off what she was making. I was like, oh man, we need to do that too. And so
In Denver.
in Denver, in Denver, like,
Yes.
man, this is awesome. She's not growing cannabis, which was wild. She's
Yes.
actually growing vegetables,
Yeah.
doing very well. And so we got home and really got to toying with some numbers. It's like, okay, let's get honest with ourselves. Like, we probably can't afford a greenhouse just 300 foot by 200,
Right.
and maintain it. And plus, I don't know if we have the market for it yet.
Yes.
So we went and visited another lady that I think is amazing, is Deanne Yates with Gates.
Oh, I know who that
Deanne's
is.
a phenomenal little
Oh,
farmer.
my
She is an inspiration to me for sure.
Absolutely.
So we went and toured her farm, and Sam, she's part of the TAWC Water Conservation Board.
Okay.
And that's how we kind of got to know her. Dad's
Okay.
part of that.
Okay.
And we toured her deal, and she's in the Midland market.
Yes.
And having great success.
Yes.
So after that, I was like, okay, we got to be honest. So 2021, we ended up buying 2 greenhouses, or
Okay.
high tunnels.
High tunnels.
Is a better way for them,
Yeah.
I guess. And then our journey kind of started. Prior to that, in 2020, I had while I was in college, I had a research project on our farm, how to increase our profitability on our farm. And this was in Dr. Ryan Rathman's class. And, of course, that our ranch was one of them that got studied. And at the end of the presentation, it's like, okay, what do you do? Do you add, all these different things to the cattle? Do you put a hormone in them? You do this, you do that. And I was like, I just don't. I'm not big into that. And I came up with, like, how do you make those, not necessarily bottom-end calves, but the calves you take to the sale barn, more valuable? And so with that, I was like, all right, I want to do a direct beef program. Right. I've already kind of established that. And so, lo and behold, 2019, we kept back some steers, and I think we kept 3, I think.
2020 was a great
just conveniently, unfortunately, 2020 came around, and we sold 3 in about 6 minutes. It was wild, and so, if you could sell 3, you could sell 12, and if you can sell 12, you can sell 20, and, the race was on. So that really got the ball rolling and we knew that we knew we could do it with beef, sure, but we knew we had to have another component if you're going to become relevant for make a sustainable business out of this.
Right.
Because there's going to be a point in time when that freezer's full.
Right.
And no one's going to come knocking at the door to come buy their beef.
Right.
And so we knew that price point, that $1,800 a half or whatever.
Right.
Whatever it is, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
The consumer just probably is not going to have that for many years to come. And so that's why the vegetable deal really started firing off. So we bought the building, a huge building. It's like 7,000 square foot. And this is a lot of real estate here. And so
Plainview has a great, their downtown, their buildings and stuff
it's
are
beautiful.
So, yes. Yeah,
so ours is the old Baines Furniture. Some of your listeners may know where that's at. That's a pretty popular furniture store back in the good old days. But
yes.
Anyway, went in and renovated it all, and got a couple freezers and refrigerator, and then the storefront out front. So anyway, the market was really, really on, and Plainview was a pretty unknown market. Mm-hmm. I'm going to preface with that. It was very, very unknown. Just not necessarily the amount of money in Plainview, but the amount of available discretionary income. I was really questioning.
Right.
And I was already I was in a roundabout way anti-farmers market just because of the restriction of a one-day sale.
Gotcha.
If you have a bad day, you have all this product, and what do you do with it?
What do you do with it? Mm-hmm.
So that's what I really want to do this storefront. And so with that being said, we got the doors open in October of last year, and we've had unprecedented demand. It's been wild.
I love that.
So now back to the vegetables. I hate to bounce around too much just for the listener, but I would like to go back to the vegetables.
Yes, let's do.
And West Texas vegetables is a very intriguing thing.
Yeah, but because I know where you guys, it's a little more common where y'all are because you have some folks that are growing like a lot of tomatoes.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then you have like a huge amount of cucumbers.
Yes. Yeah, best made right in the back.
Right. And I know, like, I'm from Brownfield, so sometimes we would see peppers.
Yep.
Yep. So, but, and watermelons, pumpkins, those kind of things, but not the amount of not like what you're doing, not the diversity that you've got.
So what we did, we split off, this is kind of funny, we split off 25 acres that was an old, basically a dry land cotton farm that was been shut off and done for a long time. It's right beside where I live. Well, we just hadn't used it. It's on a hillside, pretty unproductive ground. And it's like, well, what do we do with this weird corner that's done nothing? And so we built the tunnels on it, and we put some drip irrigation on it. Now we're up to nearly 40, I think I counted last time, it was like 45 different crops just growing on that 45.
45 different crops. Yeah. Okay, wait. Let's hear them. I gotta have. What's the most unusual? What's something I would never expect?
This past year, we started growing celery. That's been a great.
Oh my goodness!
seller.
I had no idea. 45 different crops.
The one that really put us on the map, without a doubt, put us on the map was the lettuce.
Yeah.
That's been. There's a couple things in the market garden that excel so fast, especially for the taste and the quality you can achieve. And lettuce is one of them, and carrots would be a close second. And then you start getting to navigating some of these weird oddball stuff that people hadn't really
because
tried.
because truly, it does taste better.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, and so where I'm having a lot of question marks is okay, do I have too many different crops? And but the caveat to that is well, who else is going to grow them?
Right.
And having the storefront, I'm trying to encourage more producers to come in, but I mean, they have plenty of demand selling their crop. Why don't they come to us, sell wholesale? I mean, that's a great point to make. I'm not going to blame any producer who's going to give up wholesale to go sell retail and sell out.
Yeah.
So that's been a question of mine on our longevity plan.
So, do you ever, outside of your market, are you selling to any other local stores or anything?
We have. We started selling at Canyon Farmers Market.
Okay.
We'll sell that every Saturday. It's from June to September. And we'll sell Wolforth about 5 months of the year. I really kind of foresee that you can get burnt out so fast that there's
it's a lot of work.
There's a time to let everybody take a break, yes, I can grow year round. We harvest all but 1 week of the year. It's crazy what we can do, but are you going to have any staff lift?
Right.
Are you going to have
Right.
Are you going to have yourself, Sandy, lift?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. It's a lot of labor.
Does my family still farm? We're still cotton, milo, wheat. We have all the crops too. And so this vegetable deal is awesome. But I mean, it's the 17 acres of straight vegetable farming is so intense. I built everything on a 30-inch bed with 10-inch centers.
Okay.
What that is the old 40-inch planters.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That way you have 10-inch walkways and you have 30 inches of plant bed. And some of those rows we harvested and planted 8 times through the year. And so you start doing the math on that. You're legitimately once a month you're turning that bed. Like for example, like a radish, it's only 22 days, and lettuce is less than you can get away with 40 days. It's just incredible how fast you can go. So, in the wintertime, you slide into a bunch of cooking greens that you can go through the winter with.
I think it really is interesting because I agree with you about Plainview because when I saw that you were opening, I was like, I wonder if there's enough, not even just discretionary money, but is the culture
That's
right?
a great point.
Boy, that tells me so much about how much people that I would not have even thought would be thinking and caring about where my food comes from, they are.
It's huge. I really have to commend the Hispanic culture of all people. They really do care about fresh food.
Yeah.
And you could tell the difference,
Yes.
fresh cilantro versus store-bought cilantro. It's insane, and they crave that. And I do too, quite frankly. I love cilantro. There's just people that say it tastes like soap, but
I've heard that
I guess
too,
I'm blessed that I don't have to have that, But they really crave fresh. The caveat to all this is still price.
Right.
And yes, I still cut out all the middlemen, but I still pay top dollar to the employees, and I still the expenses you have at a store is
still there.
It's still there, and so that's the only restriction I think for us to truly grow is we got to get our price down just a hair.
Yeah.
So, and I recognize that. I mean, I understand that.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's like any new market, that really is that is a struggle, and the reason it's cheaper at the store is because it's scale, it's industrial, and I was in California recently and saw a lot of those crops. I mean, so much diversity, and still a lot of labor intensive crops, and
it's not necessarily the harvest of the crop; it's the minute after you harvest that crop. That's where the work starts. And when you cut wheat, you cut the grain, you put it in the truck, haul it to the elevator. 3 guys can do it.
Right.
And cut 60 acres in a day. On the vegetable deal, you may only harvest, a bed of lettuce, and it takes you 2 to 3 hours. Granted, that bed of lettuce can make $1,600, $1,800 a bed. I mean,
Wow.
we're running right now about 60 cents an ounce on our lettuce.
Yeah.
And when we start selling stuff by the ounce, it's a whole lot cooler than by the bushel.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
anyway.
wow. That's really exciting.
So, yeah, and our beef is probably the secondary thing that I'd love to dive into.
Yeah, let's do it.
The beef side has probably been the most intriguing. I thought I knew a lot about cattle until I started killing my own beef.
So are you processing them yourselves?
I do
What are
not.
you doing?
No, there's better people in this world who do a better job than
Yeah,
I would.
I wouldn't
and
want to do that
so
either.
Keeters and Tulia cuts the majority of ours.
Okay.
We'll slide some down to local cuts. They got an awesome summer sausage, and we sell that
Okay,
one.
okay.
So the beef side, you think you know your cattle until you start killing them. And when that hide comes off and you cut him open, you figure out what he is. And the consumer drives that, and the consumer cares about it.
Yes.
Without a doubt. And more important, they don't care about it. They want to know so much because they don't know.
Right.
And I think
That's true.
I think the American rancher, we have failed that consumer by driving ourselves so far apart. You know, we've let. I hate to
There
say
is
this,
there's a huge gap.
There's
I mean,
too many
true.
people in between that that grass and that plate. You know, there's a lot. I am okay with some of the stuff like the hormones and stuff personally. I'm not going to get into it,
Right.
but the consumer doesn't want it.
Right.
And so as a producer, I'm going to provide what they're willing to pay for. And so if they say no hormones, you bet. Says well we're going no ionophores, you bet. If you don't want it, that's fine.
Because the consumer is your customer.
That's right, and they drive it.
They drive that.
With the vegetables, you know, we see it every day. Organic, they're not true in our area.
Right.
Here, in this area, they're not. It's not a big factor for them.
Right.
But they want to know you personally. They want to know your story, and they want to know the job that you're doing. That's what they care about.
Yes. The story.
Yeah,
They want the story.
they
Yes.
want it, and it matters to them.
And I'm so glad it does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, if you know when you walk into Sam's Club or wherever and you go buy that spinach, you don't have a clue where that came from.
Right.
And no fault to them, but it's just how our production model's been made. I would encourage everybody to go try fresh spinach. You will absolutely I hate spinach. Well, have you tried it fresh?
Wow.
You know, have you ever had a fresh carrot? Have you ever had a
Yes.
fresh this? You know,
And I know that's true. I grew carrots. We lived in Earth, Texas, 5 miles north of Earth.
Sure.
And I had a wonderful garden. The first year we moved there, it rained.
Yeah.
Well, where we'd moved south of Brownfield, it hadn't rained 18
Yeah.
months. And so we thought, we've moved to heaven, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And we grew carrots that year, and oh my goodness, they were so
tasty.
good.
Yeah.
So good.
The sugar content just is crazy when that stuff is grown. A, right, and B, it's you pull it and eat it that
And
next day.
it's just fresh. It's just
Oh, man.
eaten so quickly.
So I told my wife the other day, I can't wait for the tomatoes to come back just to have some acidity back
Yeah.
in our diet again. You know.
You know, when recently Lacey and I were in London at a textile meeting.
Sure.
And there's a lot of conversation now about hides, and people are wanting, they're banning getting hides from anywhere where there's deforestation. And so
Wow.
it's kind of, shaking up some markets. And one of the interesting things that they said was, well, we need to find, where can we get hides? And
Yeah.
like, we have, you want hides, so we have hides.
Oh, yeah,
There's
yeah.
so many hides. And they said, but they can't be marked up or scratched up. I'm
Yeah.
like, there's nothing for them to touch where we are.
No, that's true. And all these small packers, small lockers, they really have issues getting rid of their hides, and that's
Yes.
a great market for them
Yes.
to hold. If they got $20 for them things, it would be.
It
amazing.
would be. I don't know how you develop that supply chain when
Yeah.
all of the tanning, I think we have 2 or 3 tanners left in the U.S. and they're with the Great Lakes. It's because it takes so much water.
It does. It does. And it's not something I'm super familiar with, but I'm back to our vegetable conversation. My next exploration is added value.
Yes.
And And I don't want grandma's favorite hot sauce recipe. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about cutting a watermelon or cutting a cantaloupe or pico de gallo or something fresh. It's a salad. I want to own that side of it.
Yeah.
And so we actually put it in a kitchen on the backside of our market. So we'll go to added value by the first of the end of the year.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it's coming quick.
That's great. I know yesterday my son was asking, my son is from China, and he loves kimchi. And he was asking, where can I get local kimchi from a friend, a Chinese friend? She said, in your kitchen. You have to make it.
Yep, exactly. There's some things you just kind of got to make.
When you're going to do value added in your kitchen, you're going to be, what's the consumer going to come in and find then at Frontier Market?
I have a pretty big goal of having a salad bar, 100% fresh salad bar.
Oh,
that's
wow.
my ultimate. I wanted to have a restaurant. My initial thing was having a farm table restaurant.
Yes.
There's a really deep rabbit hole that I got in touch with a chef from New York.
Okay.
And I love it. The story is very long, but he basically told me, he said, there's no way you can make it work without, $100 plate price tag. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty high, that's a lot of money. But I agree with him. Our price point, it would just get so out of hand. Mm-hmm. And so that's why on this added value deal, like I want a salad bar, I want fresh pico. That's a huge one for us. Just simple things like chopped onion, chopped jalapeno, the things that you can just go dump out in your
That's great.
refrigerator and be done.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's where I want to head.
Yeah.
Some of the added value stuff you have in grocery stores now, some of that stuff is kind of the end of its life anyway, so they'll cut it up and put it in a jar.
Are you passionate about conservation and climate-smart agriculture? Join the Working Lands Climate Corps with the Sandhill Area Research Association. We're looking for dedicated individuals to engage in hands-on conservation projects and to educate local communities. As a full-time member, you'll receive a living allowance, health care, and child care coverage is needed. Apply now at sarah-conservation.com. Gain valuable skills, make a difference, and help build a sustainable future.
That's interesting. I've been traveling with an ag leadership group, the Texas Agriculture Lifetime Leadership, the TALL program.
Dad's part of that.
Oh, it's a phenomenal program. Sure. I've learned so much in these last 2 years, and we visited places like that that have added, chopping and those kind of things, and it's fun to see. Places like that are still, hiring people. They're paying their employees well. There's, in particular, a place we went to in New York that was distribution that was really nice to see, employees that had been there for years and years and years, And I do think that's something that is often misunderstood in the ag world,
it is.
And I'm not to say that there haven't been problems in the past,
right.
But I do think so often the people that work for us work with us, really.
That's true. I actually have two of the same employees I started with, and those two women, they are absolutely phenomenal. And there's a point in time it's like, all right, so you tell me what I need to do, for you, because they are that good. And
that's great.
That workforce, everybody complains about labor until they pay them. If you pay your labor well, and they get to the benefits.
I've heard someone say lately, it's not that that people don't want to work, that they're not going to work for you for what you've been paying.
That's right. And I have actually heard one of the sons, he's came back, and this guy is just rock star good. And I'm like, man, if you can almost have the farm if you want to.
Wow.
And so it's very intriguing that even him as a 20-year-old has came back to the farm, and he wants to pursue this. And I really think it boils down to is there's been such a disconnect to food, and now he's had this fresh food, and now it's like, well, I'm not going to eat anything else.
Right. Yeah. You want other people to experience that.
Right. There's something about getting back to the farm, putting some dirt between your hands, watching that tomato grow, watching that X grow, and then harvesting it. Yeah. And getting to do it
I
all
do
again.
love to see it. There really is a revival of people caring about those things.
There is. And like I said, back to our old cotton ground, the old cotton ground that was depleted and old, and it's been tough getting that ground even close to being back productive again. We've had some failures, and the number one failure that I'm having is this transplant shock.
Oh, I can see that.
When you our soil temps and ours, I guess the specific heat, I don't really know what it boils down to, but it's very hard to get our crop established.
Are you buying your seedlings? Or are you growing your
No,
seedlings?
we
You're growing
we
them?
grow them. Once you buy them,
Yes,
it
yeah.
really gets,
That's when it gets expensive
It really
too,
expensive
right?
fast.
Yeah.
and it really takes
Is that something that you've considered adding to your catalog of inventory or whatever, where you are selling things like that?
It's very interesting that there's a value to that because Lone Star Snap,
Oh, Snap.
they
Snap
actually
benefits.
offer money for you to buy your own seedlings, which means that the state of Texas values that.
Interesting.
I think it's a very
Yeah.
thoughtful process.
Yeah,
Texas to be
that's
like.
really great to know.
If you have a Lone Star card, you can buy your seedlings from a Snap dealer.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
So, what I thought about doing a small section. Just to
see what happens.
overgrow it, maybe 30%, and sell that off.
Yeah. So your cattle, when you how are they solely now marketed through the store, or do you also have an online?
Yeah, that's
option?
great. So initially, my granddad started our cattle business back in the 70s, and he actually had some black baldy cows. He went and bought a limousine bull when the limousines were hot and heavy, and they were 10 foot tall, red and apple butted and chicken legged. They were awful cattle, and now through the years with a lot of crossbreeding, now we're still in the limousine breed. Dad was selling a bunch of limousine bulls. We still are, but like I said, that group of calves is now, it's pretty proud to say, is where everyone is going through the store.
That's great.
And
Really?
you'll cull the runts off for sure. But what we have done also is do a bunch of genomic testing on those cattle. And so Neogen has a very unique deal. Neogen, Zoetis, they both they're pretty similar. I know they don't want to hear that, but they are. But they have a set of, that's right, they have a set of profiles, that you can get back, 16 traits. And we've really honed in on about 3 of them. And one of them is a tenderness trait. And it's actually genetic. Even though that CAB, touts the white fat and the marbling, that's what everybody wants to tout, that they have prime yield grade 2s.
Right.
But there's I've had some, I hate to tell anybody this, but I've had some pretty awesome steaks that aren't necessarily that marbled, but they're tender. Well, why is this calf so tender? You cut it with a fork. Why is that the case? Well, that tenderness and marbling, people tie them together, but they're so different. And I think that needs to be explored.
That is really interesting. And I think hopefully for some of our listeners, this is all new. I don't think people really understand the science that goes into building over generations, building your specific herd and what you're going for. And for you to be able to go, we're going to test this, we're going to see what, you're looking for that specific gene that's creating that tenderness, and you're going to breed that cow to increase that.
That's something people really need to learn or understand or discover. So as a storefront, since we own the storefront, I'm thinking I'm breeding cattle for 5 years down the road today.
Yeah.
The conception and the pasture right now is for 4 to the 5th year. And I'm going to make breeding decisions next year already for the 6th year.
And people think farmers aren't smart.
Well, saddle up.
That always just, I just think you have no idea what all goes into this.
Every old codger, every person who's talked to an old codger one time in their life with some overalls and the hay in their mouth or whatever they want to call it. But they need to, there's a lot of wisdom in those.
Yes.
And so with this genomic testing, we've really been able, what's been so cool is we've taken out heart disease of our cattle. The past 2.5 years, we've only had one calf. They always talk about the death loss at the end of the road when he's about 14, 50, fixing to go to the kill floor and falls over dead. Well, what happened to him? Do you get him? Well, it's our heart disease.
Yeah.
And so that it gives you a risk factor. We could take those cattle out. Another big one is we've taken out all of the cattle that aren't going to gain. And that's huge that's called a price point. That's huge. So for $15, I can take this test, genomically take these tests of these cattle, and I can see verbatim if they're going to gain good, they're not going to gain good. I got a history of them.
That's amazing.
And you saw. I think this is the next step for the cattle industry. People are going to argue with this, but I think it needs to happen to really hone in on this, and I think it can elevate the whole cattle herd very fast.
I with Tall, we visited a genetics company,
Sure.
And they have bred a cow that drinks like 30% less water
Sure.
and produces like 40% less.
Yeah.
I can't remember the numbers, but it's one of those things that you're like, that's like a Nobel Prize winning
Oh yeah, no doubt.
invention, you know what I mean? And he is, taking and donating, to different breeds and
Sure.
different areas and in places like India and stuff, and he's really contributing to
Yep.
a lot of environmental sustainability.
Yeah, and
Although I would argue that beef are great for the environment.
I would too. Cattle has always been a staple on our farm, even from the 60s, I guess 60 something, and they've been such a staple, and they've been such a blessing and a curse. And the reason I say that is you want them on the farm because of that nutrient cycling, but B, they really can terrorize a rotation on
So
a farm.
we were just having this conversation about mob grazing.
Yeah.
Are y'all implementing any of those? Well, I guess you would call newer
Yeah,
regen?
kind of the Regen Ag
Uh-huh.
stuff. And I am so intrigued.
Yeah.
I wanted to work so bad that we've tried.
So I
And-
just was at Mim's Ranch down in Marfa. So interesting
Yeah.
there. They're about to release all of this data that's so interesting. So I'm curious what all y'all have done.
So where I'm intrigued is okay, on those 120 acre circles that you don't have enough water to water the whole thing. So now we cut it back to half, right? So now you have 60 acres that you have 300 gallons a minute on. Now you're down, okay, now we don't have enough water for that. So let's go down to 40 acres. Now we're down to a third. So what do you do with those 2/3 of dryland acres? And that's going to be my generation's conquest.
Well, you'll need to go and listen to the podcast with Jeremy Brown because we
will.
had that exact same discussion.
Yeah, and so we have played with the cover crops and stuff too, and
Yeah.
it hadn't fit us yet. I'm not saying we haven't stopped trying.
Yeah.
We have not got it right.
I love, earlier today we had a roundtable with 3 different farmers with very different techniques to kind of showcase that, there's never going to be a one size fits all.
No, it's not, and I really think the ag industry in general has to be very careful of that.
Yeah.
Putting everybody puts in this box, and if you don't farm in this box, and you're either docked, ridiculed, or outcasted.
Right.
And I truly believe there's still a place for conventional ag. Unfortunately, I still think there's a place for this, and it's just like the vegetable deal.
It is I agree with you
Yeah.
in that because, we're privileged to be able to go have access to a frontier market
Yeah.
and to go there. But there are huge portions of the world that don't have that privilege.
No doubt.
And we don't want to take away from them the ability to eat.
That's right. And I really, like I said, I still love the regenerative movement. I think there's some really cool concepts, and there's still some things that I'm like, okay, yeah, I believe in the animal part. I believe in a lot of these
Right.
parts.
Yep.
I just have not found the combination for the covers to make sense yet.
Yeah.
And personally on our farm, we found more valuable in keeping those crop residues than trying to plant something
Yes.
on top of something on top
Right.
of something else to build that. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
On the vegetable side, it's been very hard to play with the cover game for us. We're already at a water deficit.
Right.
And personally, if we dive off the water deficit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hadn't, like I said,
Right.
that's one that I really
Yeah.
haven't.
Well,
captured.
and, one of the things that we talked about in the roundtable is just, it can't, it's such a long term.
Yeah.
A lot of those regenerative things, you have to be able to be in a place where can you do something that you're not going to see benefits from
That's 100% good
for
point.
several years, and so, and that's why we're talking about, the new climate smart ag that's there,
Yes.
money that's there for some of those things, and the good and the bad of all of that
Sure.
too. So,
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And there's a lot of money right now fixing to be involved.
there's a lot of
some
money out there for this.
And
A lot.
I'm here for it. I think it's great that people are throwing money at this game that to try to
There's
fit,
more
to try
money-
to try to find
Yes.
to find the recipe.
Yep.
I think there's going to be a tougher time for the recipe to work until we see a couple generations down the road.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us, tell the people that are listening, if they want to, where do they find you on social media?
Yeah.
And
So we're always on Facebook, Instagram. We have
are you just Frontier Market?
Frontier Markets. Yep. And the other one is we have an online store through Barn to Door. You can find
Okay.
us there, and we are not shipping yet.
Okay.
But because the shipping is
Woo, shipping meat
man.
is, yeah.
you just take the price and double it. To ship
Yes,
it.
yes.
So if you want our meat, we'll ship it to you, but you pay for the shipping.
Yep.
So, and then we also you can pick up in store, and I guess it kind of goes back to our philosophies. I want it so fresh that there is no question on it.
Yeah.
That's where we're getting paid at. That's
Yep.
what people know us for, and it's really catching on.
Well, I'm excited about what you're doing, and 45 different
Yeah.
vegetables. I'm like, I didn't even know there were 45. I admit, I kind of have a childish type of palate.
Sure.
It's not very mature.
You have a split of a fast rotation and a long rotation. And so those fast rotation crops is ones you may not necessarily eat a lot of. That'd be kind of like Swiss chard,
Yes, okay.
collard greens, that kind of stuff. And the long rotation is what there's a reason why everybody
Everything
comes in July and August. So they want their
Yes.
black-eyed peas and
Oh,
sweet
now, there you
corn and
go.
green beans.
Now you're
and-
talking my
Oh
language.
yeah, that's cream of the crop. So
Exactly. Well, Layton, thanks again
Sure.
for joining us. And I really appreciate what you're doing and
Well, thank you.
pioneering, making a go of it. And so I might have to have a visit with your dad sometime.
Well, I
that
got,
would be
I got
so
one more
fun.
caveat here before we close up.
Okay.
As a young producer, if you're truly are kind of stuck, stuck in the ways you think you have an acre somewhere to grow something direct, and I don't know what that direct market is. It could be. I love the wheat deal, wheat
Right.
to grind.
Yes.
I love the watermelon, the melon market. I love there's so many things you can we're going to grow some strawberries, but there's so many markets that there is available to be
Yes.
very, very good at. And if you're a young producer right now, you have an unprecedented demand to sell
Yes.
that crop. You just
Yep.
got to do a little bit more than go to the co-op and sell your stuff.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, as a young guy, young producer, there's
But that could be the difference between being able to stay in and
that's true.
covering some of those, expenses at home.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And so that I said, a young guy, young producer, even though if you're
Yeah.
fixing to go out, try it.
That's great to know. It's great to know that people are really, it really truly is bringing in an income.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No
that's
doubt.
great.
No, it's actually. I would love to see what year 2 to year 3 to year 6 looks like. Right now we're faced with a question is how much are we going to grow?
Right. Yeah, that's always.
And with that being said, is it 20%? Is it 40%? Is it 60%? Because the caveat is where do I get the cattle at? Yes, we're buying back some of the genetics out of our bulls from other producers, but do I have enough cattle? We killed 70 this past year. Do I need 150 this coming year? I don't know.
I cannot believe you sold 3 cows in 6 minutes.
Yeah, that was back in the was back in the good days.
That's got to set a record. That's got to set a record.
It was pretty wild. And back to the direct markets too. The key is being known to being that guy.
Yes.
Are you that guy for that product?
Right. Well, I would also suggest there's a conference called Unconventional Ag. Mm-hmm. And that's a good place for farmers.
Sure.
There's some conferences out there where farmers are not going to them.
Right.
But those wholesalers,
mm-hmm.
those folks that are looking for those farmers, they're going there
Yep.
anticipating the farmers, and the farmers aren't there.
Right.
So it's a really good opportunity to get into some of those places.
I'm telling you, I was saying don't blue in the face, but if you're a young person and you're looking for an option, there's no reason why you shouldn't look at something small.
That's crazy.
If you're a watermelon guy, you can make 8,000 to 9,000 an acre pretty easy.
Wow.
Direct sales.
Yeah.
There's no reason you couldn't.
That's amazing. Well, thanks for coming and thanks for sharing all of that with us. I mean, that's don't want you to give away your market.
Well, we get
Plenty
back
to go
it.
around. Plenty to go around.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thanks for joining us. And friends that are listening and watching, thanks again for being with us. And we will see you next time on another edition of Conservation Stories.